Hey guys, my name is Bettina. Welcome back if you've been around here for a while. If you haven't, lovely to meet you. My name is Bettina. Today I want to chat to you about how stress affects your fertility. And do you know, it's something I'm only really diving into at the minute. If you've been around here for a while, you'll know my story. If not, check out the blog. It's all there. And I've spoken about stress before. It's obviously, I'm a yoga teacher. It's something that we work with all the time. It's why a lot of people come to yoga. And if you've done any of my fertility yoga classes, you'll know that I'm talking about the importance of releasing stress. And I guess I'd kind of just thought of stress as like this all one thing. And mostly that stress, that just feeling of being stressed. But more recently, I've been doing heaps of research into it and really unpacking the different types of stress. And it's blowing my mind how much research there is linking stress and the different types of stress to how your hormones work, so therefore your fertility. And it's something that I wish I had known even 6 years ago, before I even started having children. So yeah, I'd just like to share that with you today, because I feel like if you are on a fertility journey, maybe you're having trouble, maybe you're just starting out, I think it's something we should all know, and I think it's something we should teach our daughters so that they know that how much stress actually impacts your health, not just how you feel. It's not just a feeling, it's affecting your entire system. So let's get straight into 3 different types of stresses that I want to talk about today. There's of course others, but 3 main ones that I think we all face, how that's affecting your health and how that's affecting your fertility. So unfortunately, stress is like a catch-22 when you're having fertility problems, because you probably have general stress in your life. So we're going to talk about the different types, but also the fact that you're not conceiving, or you're perhaps lost a baby, or there's just issues, maybe you're having to go through IVF, is creating its own stress. So it's like you get on this cycle. If you already have stress in your life, maybe from work or maybe from the food you're eating, which we're going to get into in a moment, then things aren't working for you. You add the stress of why it's not working for you on top of that, and then you just end up stuck in this cycle of why is this not working? And you know, it blows my mind, but they've found that women who are struggling with infertility have the same levels of anxiety and depression as those people who are struggling with cancers and terminal illness and other life-threatening things, HIV diagnoses. So it blows my mind that that's the level of stress that we're all under. And I don't feel like I'm definitely not that bad anymore. Last year, I thought I was okay. But in hindsight, I was pretty highly stressed for me. Everyone's been saying to me when I've been bringing this up recently, wow, you hide it well. But do you know what I do with it? I pack it right down. I pump it down in and I don't really show it. I can still function pretty well, but it's kind of there simmering away. And it wasn't until I really brought myself down this year and really focused on, okay, I need to get my life back, need to find my happy again, that I've realized in hindsight how stressed I was. So maybe you're someone who does the same. You're kind of outwardly okay, but you're kind of pressing all that stress down. Let's start looking at the type of stresses that we're dealing with and how we can address them so that that's not a problem anymore. Like, let's take stress off the table as an issue for our fertility and for our health. So one of the main stresses that I've found really surprised me. I've always known a healthy diet is important, of course. I've been pretty healthy, but I guess I wasn't as aware of how our rising and falling blood sugars affect our body and how our body sees it. So I guess I've been looking a lot into what the body sees and how it's dealing with the messages we're sending, because that's what happens when we're eating. We're sending the body a message that either food is plentiful, nourishment is plentiful, we need to eat, and that it needs to start digesting and doing its thing. So rising and falling blood sugars is an example of stress on the body. So if you've skipped meals, that's a message to your body that there is famine, there is a lack of food. So if you think on a physiological level, what message your body is receiving is there's not enough food, we need to go into like survival mode, so it's going to store as much fat as it can. So obviously this sort of stress is going to explain weight loss as well. And so because the body is receiving this message as a stress that there's something wrong, then also your body's getting that message that maybe it's not the right time to create a baby. If we don't have enough food for the baby, then perhaps it's not the right time to conceive. So how do you fix this? Yeah, making sure you're eating regularly, making sure that your blood sugar is not spiking and falling. So obviously processed foods, really simple carbs is going to spike that blood sugar. So obviously a lot of sugar is going to spike it. So where you can, making sure that you're getting protein, complex carbs, and lots of fruit and veg. So from real food, not from processed stuff. And it sounds really simple, and I think it is simple, but we've overcomplicated it all. There are so many different diets out there about what's healthy and what's not, so many different messages that it's all become a bit confusing. So if you can eat real food, try and include a protein with whatever you eat, whether that's a plant or an animal protein, so that it keeps those blood sugars steady. And of course, not going too long between meals, so 3 hours kind of max, so that your body is not getting the message that there's no more food coming. If you've got that hunger and that fatigue that comes, so that 3 o'clock fatigue that can sometimes come when we haven't eaten, it's because our blood sugars are really low. And so that body then sends out stress hormones, makes you crave carb food, makes you look for that food, because that's what the body thinks it needs, because it thinks there's a shortage. And of course it sends you to the vending machine and you get something nice and sugary, and that's what you want to eat. So making sure the blood sugar is even is going to help to even out that stress. And that's not even a stress I had thought about last year. I was too busy thinking and worrying about the emotional sort of stresses that we deal with. So the second type of stress that I'd like to talk to you about today is the toxins that we're using in our environment. So these are things like your products that you use to clean the house, the things that you put on your body, the chemicals on foods if you're not washing or you're not buying organic. These are all having to be processed by the body. So once upon a time, we didn't have these chemicals and the body would just do its normal processing. So we've got our liver and our gallbladder, which are a part of detoxing. So they're going to get rid of anything that the body can't digest and can't use, and that the body is considering a poison. But what happens is when we've got such a toxic overload, the liver and the gallbladder have too much work to do. And so the liver and the gallbladder can get backed up, because as well as processing those toxins, they're also processing the excess hormones out of your body. So when your body is producing estrogen and too much estrogen, or cortisol from stress or adrenaline, your liver's job is to process that out of the body and get rid of it. So if you're highly stressed from work or trying to conceive and having issues, you're putting this excess load on your liver and your gallbladder trying to get rid of these toxins. And then if you've also got toxins in your environment, it's like it all just gets clogged up. Unfortunately, what the liver and gallbladder can do is they will release into the bloodstream what they consider the least toxic. So it's usually the estrogen that your body has already made. Then makes the estrogen dominance in the body worse. So you have more estrogen, which yes, you need, but you don't need too much of. It's a delicate balance when it comes to our hormones, and our progesterone lowers because of too much estrogen, and unfortunately, progesterone is needed to make babies stick. So where you can, it's a really great idea to reduce the stress that you're putting on your body. So if you can, get rid of those chemical products in your home, get rid of them completely. All you need to clean is vinegar, bicarb soda, maybe some lemon oil if you like it to smell pretty, maybe some tea tree if you're really germaphobe, and some hot water. That's all you need. That's all I clean my home with, and I promise you my house is very clean. Body products, there's so many natural body products on the market now. Do a little bit of research into the top chemicals to avoid. There's, like I said, so many articles out there now about what to avoid. And there's so many beautiful products made from just natural plant-based ingredients that you can get onto which will help just ease the load off your body. Will let your liver and your gallbladder have a break and let them be able to process the hormones they need to process, rather than all these toxins that you're putting into the body. So of course we get to the third stress, which is going to deal with, again, those hormones. And this is more the emotional stress, so more of the external environment stuff. It's the mental stuff. And we are now living in a time unlike any other. And at the moment, we have this perceived sense of urgency around everything. So once upon a time, we didn't have that. Even 50 years ago, we didn't have that. Even I remember probably 20 years ago, we didn't have this. We didn't have smartphones in our pocket all day, every day, reminding us of things we need to do, messages we need to respond to, we're contactable at any time, emails we need to reply to or pay bills. We're totally contactable all the time, which means we feel like we have to be on all the time. There's no getting home to a sanctuary where you can go, I'm done. We don't get that break anymore. It's just constant. And what that does to our body is it makes us feel like we're constantly on edge. And if you haven't recently given yourself a break from that, you may not even know how bad it is. So I'd love for you to experiment with even just taking one day off from your phone. If you've got kids, of course, you may need to put someone else on emergency contact list, so your partner or your mother or someone who can just kind of mind that for you. So just give yourself that chance to experience even just a small taste of what it feels like to come down from some of that sense of urgency. And also, it's important to address how you're responding to everything and getting a little bit of perspective on, do you know, nothing is really as urgent as we feel it is. And I know we feel like we've got to respond to everything immediately, and I know we feel bad when we haven't responded to that text that someone sent us last week, but it's okay. What we're doing with this sense of urgency around things like email and work and family pressures and things like that is we're making them catastrophic when they don't need to be. And the message that our body is getting from this is that something really dangerous is happening. So biologically, we're still very similar to when we were cavemen, and the body thinks there's a giant tiger about to eat you. It doesn't realize that you're just stressed out that you've got 3 work deadlines and you don't know how you're going to do them all in one day. And if you think about what the body would do to escape a tiger, it's pretty dramatic. So what the body does internally is it releases stress hormones. So you've got cortisol and you've got adrenaline pumping through the body. It sends all the blood away from your internal organs, so away from your digestion, away from your reproductive system. It sends it to your arms and your legs so you can run and you can scratch and you can fight and you can get away. And your body's doing that when you're feeling stressed about some work stuff. And obviously you don't need any of that. The body also at that time wants carbs because it wants that quick burst of energy, because it's not going to use any of your fat for energy. That takes too long. It's going to use that glucose that it can quickly turn into energy. So of course it's going to want you to eat sugar. It's going to want you to eat lots of simple carbs that it can turn quickly into that energy because it thinks you can run away. So if you are feeling stressed constantly, this is the state your body is in. So you're probably gaining weight or not being able to lose weight. Even if you've been trying to eat a more nutritious diet, you're probably still finding the cravings are always jumping in on you. So this is why it all is working together. And of course, then we get to what is the liver having to do? Well, if you've got this excess cortisol and adrenaline, it needs to process that. So it's getting blocked up, having to process the extra stress hormone in your body and can't process the other toxic loads that you perhaps need to get rid of. Can you think how much this is doing to our ability to conceive? And on a bigger level, what message are we sending our body when we are telling it there is danger? So it's not understanding that this danger is surface level and just a perceived threat. Our body thinks there's a giant tiger about to eat us, and probably not the best time to make a baby. So perhaps even hearing about these 3 types of stresses is stressing you out. And that's the thing with stress. Sometimes we kind of get into this loop that we can't get out of. And in this case, with the body, it really does create a loop, because you get stuck in, I feel stressed, therefore I want lots of sugary carbs, therefore the body is having all these high and lows with the blood sugar, therefore I'm making and not processing enough of the toxins out of my body. And it's just this negative cycle that we feel like we can't get out of. But can I tell you there is a way out? And it starts with a big deep breath. Science has found that there's really only one way, and this blows my mind. Like, scientists have only found one way, and us yogis knew it for years. To get yourself out of that stress state and to start bringing the nervous system down, so starting telling the body that you can stop releasing stress hormones, I'm safe, the tiger has gone. Just take a deep breath. So filling the lungs up properly. So breathing into the belly, breathing into the chest, filling them up completely and slowly exhaling. That is sending your body the message that the danger has gone, that the stress is gone, that it can relax, that it is safe. So if you are feeling like you're chronically stressed and you can't get out of it, like you've gotten yourself into this point where you're so worked up that you can't get down, it starts with the breath. It starts with creating a habit in your day where you breathe deeply. It could be meditation, it could be sitting for 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be. It could be sitting with a cup of tea and just having a cup of tea and breathing. It might be in the car on your way to work that you practice some deep breathing. It doesn't need to look like meditation. From there, of course, there are lots of other ways you can start supporting your body. So making a switch off time, so making sure the phone goes off by a certain time, having rules around social media, because that can really get stressful, especially if you're having trouble conceiving and you're seeing 1,000 Facebook statuses with people falling pregnant and having babies. It's stressful. So starting to create the boundaries in your life that you need to not feel so stressed is really important. So of course I'm going to have to put a yoga plug in here. I couldn't do anything but. A yoga practice is obviously going to help you lower that stress because we're movement to breath work. So we're moving the stress out of the body by moving and getting you out of the head, so getting you out of that stressful place to be and into the body where you can start tuning into what's going on in your body. And that's going to help with the eating as well because you're going to notice this doesn't feel good because you're going to be more in tune with the body. And of course the breath work, which is going to help get rid of some of that stress. So I hope that helps you today. There are definitely 3 types of main stresses that I feel like we are all probably struggling with. I know for me, last year, these were high on my list. I was eating carbs like no tomorrow, especially when I was pregnant and I was bleeding, and that was like my peak of anxiety. My body was just craving carbs like no tomorrow, and I totally blamed it on the pregnancy, but now I look back, I think, no, my others weren't like that. This was a definite stress thing. The toxins in my home, I've been pretty good for years, but there were still a few that had kind of crept back in. So I've cleared those out now, and the stress for me has been a huge one. So I've got now time that my phone goes to bed. I'm making daily time for meditation. I also sought help from a naturopath who gave me some herbs to really calm my nervous system down, brought me right down. So you may also want to look into seeing a naturopath. But it's a process. You don't have to have it sorted out tomorrow. You just need to start right now and take a deep breath. And maybe that's all you do today. And then tomorrow, maybe you try and find some time to do some meditation. Don't pile a list of to-dos on. That's going to just add more stress. Don't add more stress to what is already a stressful situation. Little baby steps, do the best you can, but start making some space in your life for you and for calming down. So it's going to help to not only improve your fertility, but how you feel as well, because it's not nice to live in this space of constant stress. It affects all parts of your life, your relationships, how you enjoy your day, how you feel about yourself. So start dealing with some of this stress, start some of that breath work, maybe get into a yoga practice. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. Send me an email or leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear from you and I'd love to hear your story. Have a beautiful day and namaste.